You're involved in a particular architectural project at the
Yes,
moment.
I am, yeah.
And developing it from the point of view of those who are going to be living in this area who have a particular mental health problem in terms of dementia. So, quick few words about that, perhaps, and then I'll invite Crispin to comment on the kind of architectural principles that you're trying to follow.
Well, there's a lot of thinking about living well with dementia. So there's this idea that we're going to increase the care home population in this country hugely. And we know that care homes and people living communally in institutional environments, particularly if they have dementia, do very poorly. They lose their functioning, they become depressed very easily, and they develop lots of behavioural difficulties. They require lots of medication and so on. And it's not good for their mental or physical health, and they die much quicker. So there's a move now to thinking about developing communities that are dementia-friendly or dementia communities. So the project I'm associated with is building a village, a new village in Hillingdon, which is a sort of 21-acre site. I haven't actually been involved in it that much, but I've spoken to the designer about it. And it's building units where people live with their partner or their member of family or live alone and are supported by staff within that community who work 24 hours a day. But it becomes a community that's part of the greater community. So they're going to put in cinemas, cafes, get transport routes so they go through the community rather than, come from the community out. So they're going to make it a through route. And they're trying to integrate it into normal society, but whilst maintaining a care bubble over the top of it. And that's the idea. They're going for, I've applied for planning permission, and I can't remember how many units it is, but it's quite it's sort of substantial number of hundreds of people with their carers. And these units will be particularly designed for people with dementia. So everything is intuitive. So, you can see the loo from here, you can see the bedroom, you can see the kitchen, and you can see the front door. So you know where everything is. There's, things aren't hidden.
So there's a greater sense of control over what's happening. So, I wonder how this might relate to your argument and your notion about prosperity in certain circumstances being the enemy of a community.
I'm not sure how closely connected it is to what I was saying, but I think it's very interesting because I think that as developers look for niches, of how they can build certain sorts of community and sell them into certain sorts of market. So there's the sort of sheltered housing thing, and then there's the sort of over 55s housing, and so they like having niches because for example, those niches have a lot of money because they've sold their family house and they're sort of looking for something that's more easier to run and that sort of thing. So I think that we are seeing a proliferation of special interest housing, and this certainly is happening in America, where we tend to get a lot of our trends from, and I think they're pretty diabolical. You end up with a community where you get collected by bus and taken to your entertainments. So I kind of feel that the sort of a model for the city that seems more satisfactory is one where everything is, messed together, both in terms of affordable housing, market housing, special needs. All these things are much more thrown together, and it is interesting when you sort of have segments that you have to give special care to, because there are economies of doing that in a place, aren't there? You kind of like have a caretaker who's going to look after 30 units.
So that you end up with possible danger here. You end up with something that is highly sectorized as a community need, defined rather in abstract separation from the rest of the social development.
I think that is the danger, the ghettoization of it. And that was obviously a concern that they wanted to address, which was by bringing in resources like transport and cinemas and swimming pools and things that would bring other people in, so it wouldn't create that divide. But I think you're absolutely right. For me, personally, I think the idea of a community should include everyone, because the way that we counter prejudice is by learning through contact
Yeah.
with what we're prejudiced against.
Yeah.
So I think people have a very, very narrow view of what dementia is and how you live with it. And so if that person is taken out of the community as soon as they're diagnosed, whipped off, disappear, it becomes a bit like mental health problems in the 1960s, you know, the sort of
Yes.
water towers. You know, the care homes become the place where you go when you, you know,
Yeah.
get
Don't talk
diagnosed
about
with
it anymore.
dementia.
Yeah.
And that's my worry, yes.
Sarah and Crispin, thank you very much indeed.